Purushottamapurushaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Srinvatam Sukata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantasto Hibhadrani Virunoti Suritsatam Nashtaprayashvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavat Yuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Jai Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, Text 14. Vidyata povrata dharan mukatasma vipran Brahmatma tattvamavitum patamam tvamasrak Tad brahmanan paramasarva vipatsupasi Pala pashuniva vivo prakrita danda. Translation. My dear great and powerful Lord Shiva, you were created first from the mouth of Lord Brahma in order to protect the Brahmanas in pursuing education, austerities, vows, and self-realization. As a protector of the Brahmanas, you always protect the regulative principles they follow. Just as a cowherd boy keeps a stick in his hand to give protection to the cows. Report. The specific function of a human being in society, irrespective of his social status, is to practice control of the mind and senses by observing the regulative principles enjoined in the Vedic Shastras. Lord Shiva is called a Pashupati because he protects the living entities in their developed consciousness so that they may follow the Vedic system of Varna and Ashrama. The word Pashu refers to the animal as well as to the human entity. It is stated here that Lord Shiva is always interested in protecting the animals and the animalistic living entities who are not very advanced in the spiritual sense. It is also stated that the Brahmanas are produced from the mouth of the Supreme Lord. We should always remember that Lord Shiva is being addressed as the representative of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. In the Vedic literature, it is described that the Brahmanas are born from the mouth of the universal form of Vishnu. The Kshatriyas are born from his arms, the Vaishyas from his abdomen or waist, and the Shudras from his legs. In the formation of a body, the head is the principal factor. The Brahmanas are born from the mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in order to accept charity for worship of Vishnu and to spread Vedic knowledge. Lord Shiva is known as Pashupati, the protector of the Brahmanas and other living entities. He protects them from the attacks of non-Brahmanas, or uncultured persons, who are against the self-realization process. Another feature of this word is that persons who are simply attached to the ritualistic portion of the Vedas and do not understand the situation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are not any more advanced than animals. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is confirmed that even though one performs the rituals of the Vedas, if he does not develop a sense of Krishna consciousness, then all his labor in performing Vedic rituals is considered to be simply a waste of time. That verse is Dharma Swanushita Pumsam. Vishvaksena Katasuyaha Not Pariyad Yadiritim. Shrama Evahi Kevalam. It's simply a waste of time. Lord Shiva's aim in destroying the Daksha Yajna was to punish Daksha because by neglecting him, Lord Shiva, Daksha was committing a great offense. Lord Shiva's punishment was just like that of a cowherd boy who keeps a stick to frighten his animals. It is commonly said that to give protection to animals, a stick is needed, because animals cannot reason and argue. Their reasoning and argument is argumentum ad baculum. Unless there is a rod, they do not obey. Force is required for the animalistic class of men, whereas those who are advanced are convinced of reasons, arguments, and scriptural authority. Persons who are simply attached to Vedic rituals without further advancement of devotional service or Krishna consciousness are almost like animals, and Lord Shiva is in charge of giving them protection. and sometimes punishing them as he punished Daksha. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanshakapatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Pritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna devotees. So a few things from this verse. We hear it because Daksha is in a state of clarity and sobriety for the first time in the Bhagavatam since the beginning. We are seeing Daksha in finally the state of sobriety and clarity, but that state has been brought on by great calamity, a very severe calamity, the destruction of his yajna, the beheading of his own body, his own head got chopped off, and many of his associates of the other demigods and others were also injured or killed. So, at the behest of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva is giving Daksha the goat head. It's kind of funny how Lord Brahma's saying, please restore everything. And Shiva's like, yeah, okay, well, we'll give him the goat head and we'll give uh, Brigu the goat beard and, Pusha, certain things. It's just funny how um, Shiva kind of halfway rectified the situation, but that was his purpose. So there's always a purpose behind it, and in one sense you could say it's a reminder. It's a very visceral reminder of what happened. Especially if you have a goat's head and you're talking out of it, um, it could be humbling. So Daksha is in this moment of clarity. He's trying to offer prayers to Lord Shiva, but he remembers his daughter Sati and gets very emotional and choked up because because of his bad behavior, Sati killed herself. And so Daksha, as a father, actually awakened to some sober state, is now lamenting this and is feeling sad. So these three verses, this was the second of the three, where Daksha is just he's expressing himself. Uh, he doesn't get the opportunity to offer such lengthy or uh, erudite prayers to Lord Shiva. We have three verses in the Bhagavatam, three verses, and they're very simple, and the points are actually not so um, complex. Sometimes we get in the Bhagavatam very philosophical prayers because that was the advancement and level of consciousness of these persons, able to offer very erudite and beautiful prayers of glorification. Here, it's a little more simple um, in the sense that Daksha is simply saying that I have, you've punished me. You have punished me. And this is good. because this is your protection. So in today's verse, we get the comparison how Lord Shiva is being compared to a what was the word Pashu. Let's see here. Yeah, Pala, a Pashupal. Just like Gopal, we call Krishna Gopala. So he's the Pala, the protector of the cows. So Pashupala or Pashupati. He's being addressed as the protector of animals. And it's sort of an analogy and it's sort of not, as Srila Prabhupada brought out in the purport, that Lord Shiva, as one of the guna avatars of material nature, the Vaishnavas, we see Lord Shiva in different ways. We can see Lord Shiva as the greatest devotee of Krishna. What's that? Yata Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, right? Of all the Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva is Shambhu is the greatest. So that's one vision of Lord Shiva as a devotee. We can worship Lord Shiva as a devotee. We can also worship Lord Shiva as a guna avatar, because guna avatars are Vishnu, actually. They're Vishnu qualified by the gunas. So Vishnu, although he takes sattva gun, he regulates the sattva gun, and Lord Brahma regulates rajagun, and Shiva regulates tamagun. Vishnu is never touching the sattva gun, in fact. He's always uh, regulating it from afar, you could say. Whereas Lord Brahma, most of the time being a jiva, is actually uh, in touch with Rajagun, and Lord Shiva um, is Vishnu in touch with Tamagun, in touch with material nature. So he's not a jiva, but he's not Vishnu either. He's Vishnu in touch with material nature. Um, so that's another very valid way of seeing Shiva and worshiping Shiva. Actually, one can get liberation and bhakti from that, worshiping Shiva as Prabhupada said it in the purport, as a representative of Vishnu. And again, representative could be as a devotee, or it could be as a guna avatar, an actual avatar, an aspect of Vishnu. The Shaivites, they worship Shiva as an independent supreme, uh, and that is not really consistent with Shastra nor the Vaishnava conception. Um, so in any case, this is a glorification of Vishnu and Krishna through the medium of Lord Shiva, through the medium of Vishnu's devotee, Lord Shiva. And the one aspect I really want to bring out in the whole thing is how we see how Daksha's processing his suffering, because this is an important point for all of us and for anyone in the material world. It's very uh, applicable. How does somebody process their suffering? Um, it is perhaps one of the single most um, practical things in the entire Bhagavatam that's being repeated throughout all 10 cantos or 11 cantos, 12 cantos. How does somebody process their suffering? And we actually kind of get it right in the first canto when we start hearing about non-dual reality. This verse Vadanti tattva vidas, tattvam yajnanam advayam. We hear that the supreme absolute truth is non-dual, meaning that there's nothing else but Krishna in this world. Not just in this world, but in existence. There's only one supreme reality, and that is Krishna. You can view that differently, that one supreme reality can be viewed differently depending on one's perspective, depending on one's shraddha, in fact. The shraddha that one gets from hearing from different persons, one will view reality differently. So it is very broadly categorized, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti, Shabd. So as devotees or aspiring devotees, we hear from devotees, we hear from Srila Prabhupada, we hear from other Vaishnavas, we hear from acharyas. So we are getting bhakti shraddha, we're getting a seed of devotion, of bhakti, and that vision awards vision of Bhagavan. Doesn't, I mean, Brahman, Parama, all that, those other visions are included in Bhagavan. But someone else might hear from someone else and get another vision of the supreme absolute truth of this tattva. And that is also valid. That is not wrong. It is accommodated for. Sutta Goswami and Shukadev Goswami were speaking to very large audiences of persons, and not all of them had the seed of bhakti. Not all of them were cultivating Bhagavad Drishti, so to speak, the vision, how to see Bhagavan in this tattva, in this supreme absolute truth. So, in that sense, as devotees, we can also be accommodating. It's said that we should be, in the 11th canto, there's that verse, how making friends with devotees, giving your love to Bhagavan, and having compassion towards the innocent, and kind of avoiding the envious. So, not everyone's a Mayavadi has this outright envy and hatred and weird philosophy, radical non-duality. A lot of people just actually hear from other sources, and that's actually accommodated within the Bhagavatam. And one can still speak the Bhagavatam, like Sutta and Shuka did. And one speaks the Bhagavatam, and then these people actually get that fruit. But the antagonism of this is something different is exactly contradictory to the non-duality principle. The point I'm trying to get at is that the point that everything is Krishna, or Krishna's mercy, you could say, Krishna's energy. The devotees really see this. Devotees really try to see this, and this is the enlightenment Daksha is coming to: is that your punishment, my suffering, has helped me, has protected me. You've been protecting me, just like the cow herder with the stick sometimes has to whack the cow, or whack the goat, or the sheep. Why? Because they might be falling off a cliff. And if they give them a hit, then they correct themselves. So Prabhupada makes the point that yes, it's better to learn from hearing. That's first class intelligence. When somebody can learn from hearing only, or learning from the example of others. But when we have to go through that ourselves and learn, that's kind of third class intelligence. Prabhupada has said that before. And that's true. And we definitely aspire to hear in that way. But generally speaking, in life, we have so many experiences, and we have to learn from them. And we're not even good at that. I speak for myself. Sometimes we're not even good at learning from our own experiences. Daksha, in this sense, is exemplary. That's why he made it to the pages of Bhagavatam, is he committed pretty horrible offenses. But how many of us think like that, at least? How many of us maybe act like that? The pride and prestige of position, and how we belittle others who may be deserving of our respect. That is just the condition of the material nature of an ego. So, how to then take the suffering in our lives, the karmic reactions from so many lifetimes, and see that that is actually the loving hand of Krishna trying to protect us from further entangling ourselves in a web of uh, papa and punya and aparad. It's all a web that devotee um, avoids, actually. The devotee avoids it because of their love for Krishna. There's this beautiful verse in the Bhagavatam. Yeah, it's in the first canto also. Yad anudyasina yukta. This is in the second chapter. Yad anudyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam. Chindanti kovidas tasya kona kuryat kataratim. So this is a beautiful verse which is saying that the kovidas, the learned persons, they cut through this karma granti nibandhanam, this bondage of the knot of karma, which includes our suffering, includes our happiness, all the karmic reactions which are entangling us and making us bound to this material nature. They're being cut. Why? Because of this kataratim, this attraction to Krishna, the attraction to hear about Krishna and serve Krishna. So when one loves somebody, and the devotees really love Krishna, they really love Krishna. Their heart is in love with Krishna in the most profound way, and that love conquers everything else. Mahaprabhu says it also, or Krishnadas Kaviraj says it in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that just like um, the roar of a lion, may Mahaprabhu's chanting like a roar of a lion scare away all the elephantine vices, all the elephants of anartas and other things, karmas, anything connected with material nature, runs away from that roar of the lion. So similarly, all the anartas, all the karmas, all the bondages are, you can say, cut to pieces, you can say run away. Uh, I was also thinking they're conquered by love. When everything else is insignificant. Even one suffers their karmic reactions, they're no longer significant because that love, that attraction is so strong that it is conquering over uh, these other less significant uh, phenomena in life. So similarly, Daksha is having such a moment of clarity here that uh, that clarity is so usually when one suffers and is met with death or some very significant situation, you know, reality kind of kicks in, and it's not always, but sometimes, often, that could be the case. Um, so Daksha is actually appreciating his suffering, saying thank you. This feeling of gratitude for everything is the hallmark of a devotee. There's no duality between this was Maya and this was Krishna. There's thank you. Thank you for guiding me, for protecting me, for uh, uh, having me experience what I needed to experience. And there's a very advanced symptom, but we get a little snapshot of it here through the eyes of Daksha. And so in our own lives, we can try to not go through such a turmoil. You know, we don't need a airplane falling out of the sky or, you know, to get some disease. Uh, Hopefully, we pray not to get to that point before we can actually have these feelings of gratitude uh, towards Bhagavan and towards the devotees for what comes our way, and try to take the lesson and sober up and apply that and um, and express that love through that gratitude, um, whether it happens or not. So I'll end there because we're a little over time, but just wanted to finish that point. So Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Gaura Premanandi.